Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the only board game review show that is recommended by 4 out of 5 dentists. What does the 5th one say? I'm sure they got something better to do? Anyway, today I want to take a look at a game called Origins of World War II. Now, a few years ago, I was doing a play with a friend of mine, Kevin, and he was telling me about this game, and I thought it sounded great, but I didn't get a chance to play it until just the other day. So, let me tell you a little bit about this kooky game, Origins of World War II. Now, typically, when you think of a World War II era game, 9 times out of 10, you're thinking some kind of war game. You know, Axis and Allies, Memoir 44, Tide of Iron, ASL. World War II was a war, and of course, with its many theaters and the various personalities involved, it just lends itself well to wargaming. Origins of World War II is not a war game because it doesn't take place in World War II. It takes place before World War II. Essentially what happens is you've got up to 5 players who play the various great powers of Europe. You have the United States, which of course is not in Europe, but it's heavily influencing European politics. Then of course you have Britain, France, Germany, and the Soviet Union. Now, the game plays in 6 turns. All the time, it's always going to be 6 turns. On your turn, each player has a number of political factor chits they can place. And Germany's always going to have the most, the Soviet Union the next, and then increasingly less and less the further west you go. So, on your turn, you're going to be placing these around the board. And depending on how many of these you have in a certain country, will create, if you have, I think, 5 or more than anyone else, and no one else is in that country, in a specific region, you gain control of it. It's locked down. No one else can place there for the rest of the game. It's yours. But also, if you have 5 in another country, one of the great powers country, you have an understanding with them, a diplomatic understanding, so they can't try to play dirty tricks on you for the game. So after everybody has placed their different chits, you can kind of try these diplomatic attacks. And if you have more than your opponent, equal to or more than your opponent, you can attack on a 1-to-1 basis, or if you have double, a 1-to-2 basis, a 2-to-1 basis, a 3-to-1 basis, etc., etc. Now, depending on those odds, you roll a dice, a single d6, and on a chart it tells you what happens. Does your enemy lose some of their influence? Do you both lose influence? Or do you lose influence? You don't know what's going to happen here. Now, depending on your specific country, you have an agenda, and you know you're going to gain certain points for controlling or reaching an understanding or preventing other players from controlling certain regions. You know right at the beginning of the game how you're going to score if you can meet those objectives. So everybody else knows that too, so everybody knows what everyone else theoretically is trying to do, but what strategy are they going to adopt? Which countries are they going to go for? Which one are they going to say, I can't do anything about that? It's really, really quite fascinating. This is a very, very, very simple system. The strategy, however, is incredibly complex. It's incredibly complex because you don't know from one turn to the next what everybody else is going to do with their chits, where they're going to place them, and how they're going to use them. Are they going to use them to attack, or are they just trying to establish themselves in certain countries to prevent you from gaining control? Now, a recent game I just played, I was Germany. And Germany is great because the way the game is set up, Germany always has more political factors to place than any other nation, and they go last. So what that means is all the other nations have to kind of gang up on Germany to keep it from getting too powerful. So this simulates kind of that real-world diplomatic tension vis-a-vis Germany. And it forces Britain and France to work together to contain Germany, and even, at times, the Soviet Union. Soviet Union is kind of doing its own thing, but even it, at times, has to find a way to contain Germany. It is very, very, very interesting, very, very thematic, and as you can tell, It's old. This game was published in 1971. My friend Kevin bought this game in the late 70s, and he's had it ever since. And this game, according to him, has seen a lot of use. And I don't doubt it. It's a great game. It is a great game. So, I like this game. I dare I say, love this game. The recent game we were playing, I was Germany, and I was sure I was going to win. I had, you know, the Rhineland locked up. I had Austria locked up. I had Poland locked up. I was going to win. There was even a bit where Britain placed all of these political factors in Germany to try to contain me. And I was able to beat him. I was able to defeat him. It was brilliant. He had to remove all those. I was on top of the world. I was sure I was going to win. But I wasn't paying attention to what Britain was doing in other parts of the board.
Romania, he does not.
And I do have an
17.
I still win!
Where did you get it?
19!
Good job, man. Good job. My final score was 17. His was 19. He won the game. Thematically, that means he prevented World War II. It was great. Great fun. Great fun. But it's an old game. It's an out-of-print game. I am making this video to first of all say I highly recommend this game. If you can get your hands on it, The Discriminating Gamer says buy it. And I've seen it used online. You can buy it. But that's not enough. I'm making this video to beg, to plead, to beseech the powers that be and all of those game companies out there, get your hands on this game. Publish it. People will buy it. It is that good. This is one of the best diplomatic-themed and negotiating-themed games I have played set in a historical context. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just did my top 100 list. I'm airing those right now, but of course I've figured them all out. If I played this, it'd definitely be on there. It'd probably be pretty high up, too. I'm really excited. Can't wait to play it again. This is Origins of World War II. Again, we need a reprint. We need a new edition of Origins of World War II. I beg you, make a new version of Origins of World War II. Thank you so much for listening to my rant, my love, my passion for this game, Origins of World War II. And thank you very much for watching The Discriminating Gamer. Please, please, please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're The Discriminating Gamer, and we stand behind Origins of World War II.
Please somebody help me.